"You're too sensitive," my dad said, after making another gay joke at dinner. So I left mid-meal, canceled the vacation I paid for, and let him explain to his church buddies why he suddenly had to fly economy. Dinner was steak, medium rare, the way he liked it. Mashed potatoes, heavy on the butter, green beans from a can because fresh is a scam. His words, not mine. It was all there, like clockwork. My mom poured his iced tea with that quiet, careful efficiency she'd perfected over 30 years of marriage. My sister Rachel, 25F, was already halfway through her second glass of wine, laughing at something he'd said about our cousin Greg's man bun phase. My dad, David, 58 million, in his church polo and khakis, was in peak form, eyes glinting, voice booming, carving into the sirloin like he was hosting a suburban cooking show. Then he said it, laughed, fork in the air. "You know what they call two gay guys in a canoe? Fruit by the oar," Rachel snorted. Mom froze, then did that nervous giggle she does when she wants to disappear. I stared at my plate, my hands clenched under the table so hard I felt my nails press into my palms. I didn't say anything at first. I just sat there, letting the silence drag, letting the steam from my potatoes fog up my glasses. And then I said quietly, "Can you not?" My dad looked up like I'd just insulted the Pope. "It was a joke," he said, tone already defensive. "Jesus, you're too sensitive." That was it. The air in the room changed, dense and sour. I stood up without another word, chair scraping across the tile. "Where are you going?" my mom asked, startled. "Home," I said, which thankfully isn't here. "You're going to walk out over a joke?" my dad snapped. I didn't answer. I just walked out the front door, into the night, keys already in my hand. I didn't go straight home. I sat in my car for 20 minutes, engine running, staring at the dashboard while my heart slammed against my ribs. I wasn't crying. Not really. Just breathing hard. The way you do when you've been punched in the gut without warning. I'd come out when I was 24. I'm 30 now. 6 years of trying to convince this man that I wasn't a phase, that I wasn't less, that I didn't deserve to be the punchline to whatever outdated garbage he picked up from his church buddies or golf group. And I thought, stupidly, naively, that maybe this trip would be different. That maybe, after I surprised him by paying for a full family vacation to Aruba, he'd see me as more than just the dramatic one. Spoiler, he didn't. I texted Rachel, "I'm canceling the trip, don't ask. I'll refund you for the Airbnb you booked on your own." 10 minutes later, I logged into the flight app. I had booked his tickets using my points, first class no less, because he gets stiff in the knees on long flights. I changed his seat to economy, aisle, near the lavatory, the seat that doesn't recline. And then I deleted the calendar invite from the family group, the one that had the villa information, gone. Let him explain that to his precious small group on Sunday. Let him tell them why his generous, loving, overly sensitive son decided not to show up. Let him squirm. I didn't want revenge at first. I wanted dignity. But the longer I sat in that car, the more I realized I was owed something. Not just respect, not just an apology. I was owed the satisfaction of watching him finally face the consequences of thinking love is unconditional no matter how many cuts you make with it. And this was just the beginning. The next morning, I woke up to 12 missed calls and 3 texts from my mom, all variations of, "Let's not overreact." The last one said, "Your father didn't mean anything by it. Please call me." I didn't. Instead, I made coffee, fed my dog, and canceled the group dinner reservation in Aruba. The one I booked 6 months ago because my dad insisted on one real steakhouse night during the trip. The cancellation fee? $200. Worth it. I wasn't being petty, I was being precise. I wasn't slamming doors, I was locking them. Around noon, Rachel texted Rach. "Okay, what the hell happened?" Me. "Ask Dad." Rach. "He says you flipped out over a joke." Me. "Fruit by the oar." Rach. "Oh, yikes." She called, but I let it ring. I wasn't ready for her half-measured defense of him, the way she always tiptoed around his old-school humor, like it was some personality quirk and not, bigotry. Let me tell you a bit about my dad so you get the full picture. David, 58, self-proclaimed old-school man. Think John Wayne, complex with a Costco membership, worked 30 years at the same factory, built his whole personality around loyalty and hard work, but only on his terms. Cried when his dog died, but told me therapy was for people who didn't have real problems. He says grace with one hand on his phone and has told me, multiple times, that he doesn't see why people need Pride Month when we don't have Straight Month. He once told my boyfriend, Mark, to his face, "You don't look gay," like it was a compliment, like Mark should thank him. That was last Christmas. Mark didn't come this year. That afternoon I got an email from Delta. "Your seat change has been confirmed." I smiled. Then the group chat lit up. "Dad, why did my seat get changed?" Rachel. "Wait, what?" Mom. "Did the flights get moved?" Me. "Left the group." I didn't owe them explanations anymore. For once in my life, I wasn't going to soften the blow. I wasn't going to make it easier for him to feel like the victim. He wanted to play patriarch on vacation? Let him do it from the back of the plane with the guy who won't stop coughing. By dinner, Rachel was outside my apartment. She didn't knock at first, just stood there, holding a bottle of wine like a white flag. I almost didn't open the door. But then again, Rachel wasn't the enemy. Not exactly. She was just too good at looking away. I told him it wasn't okay, she said as soon as I opened the door. I told him he crossed a line. I let her in. We sat on the couch while my dog sniffed her shoes like she was customs. She poured 2 glasses. I'm not trying to defend him, she said. But you know how he is. I stared at her. Yeah, that's the problem. She nodded, slow, eyes glassy. He said he thought you'd laugh. Because he still doesn't see me. Not really. She didn't argue. We sat in silence, sipping wine, the air thick with everything unsaid. Then she said, he's not going to apologize. I know. And that's when the idea fully clicked. This wasn't about waiting for him to change. It was about making damn sure he couldn't pretend nothing happened. If he wanted to minimize me in private, then he'd deal with being minimized in public. And so I got to work. By the next morning, I was done playing chess with someone who thought he was holding the only pieces. I logged into the vacation planning email I'd made months ago. Back when I still thought this trip could fix something. Back when I still believed that spending a stupid amount of money to drag my family to an island would somehow make my dad say, I'm proud of you, son. Or hell, just call me his son without sounding like it left a bad taste in his mouth. It took all of 15 minutes to cancel the snorkeling tour, the catamaran dinner, the welcome basket delivery, everything but the flights. I wanted them to land in Aruba. I wanted them to show up at that empty villa with no welcome drinks, no itinerary, and no idea what the hell happened. I changed the locks on the Airbnb. New code, no forwarding. They could still stay there, technically. I'd already paid. But I removed my name from every reservation, stripped the fridge delivery, deleted the car rental. I wanted them to feel every missing piece. Call it petty. I call it a vibe shift. Then I posted on Facebook. Just one sentence. Respect is the bare minimum. Family doesn't get a pass to be cruel. Didn't tag anyone. Didn't have to. Half the extended family knew the vacation was a thing. The other half would find out soon enough when my dad started bitching to his friends at church about woke culture, ruining his tan. Around 2 p.m., Rachel called again. He's furious. Good. He's saying you're trying to ruin the family. I laughed. Number, I'm just refusing to let the family ruin me. Then came the text from my mom. Mom, you're being unreasonable. Mom, people will talk. Mom, this isn't what Jesus would do. Me. Did Jesus laugh at gay people at dinner, or was that a different gospel? No reply. That night, Mark called me. We hadn't talked much since the last blow-up with my dad. He'd been patient but distant. I couldn't blame him. I kept hoping my dad would come around, and Mark got tired of playing second fiddle to my damage. I saw your post, Mark said. You okay? And just like that, my throat closed. I hadn't cried yet. Not when I walked out, not when I unraveled every thread of this vacation. But hearing his voice, steady, warm, real, it cracked something open. I don't know, I said, but I feel clear for the first time in years. There was a pause. Then he said, you were never too sensitive. He was just too cruel. And I sobbed. Right there, in my hoodie and sweatpants, phone pressed to my cheek like a lifeline, I sobbed like a kid. That night, I slept for 9 hours straight. And the next morning, I bought myself a first-class ticket to Aruba. Same flight, same day, seat 1A. Let him walk past me on the plane. Let him feel it. The day of the flight, I wore white linen and sunglasses inside the terminal, like someone pretending to be unbothered. And maybe, for the first time, I wasn't pretending. I arrived early because I wanted to watch, not to cause a scene. Just observe. Like a scientist watching a frog realize the water's boiling. Gate C12 was already packed when they walked in. My dad in his too-tight golf polo, dragging a wheeled suitcase like it owed him money. My mom clinging to her tote bag like a security blanket. Rachel trailing behind, eyes scanning the crowd until they landed on me. I didn't wave, just sipped my overpriced coffee and waited for it to click. It did. About 3 seconds after they looked up at the monitor and realized their seat assignments had changed. My dad turned, face already blotchy, looking around like someone had robbed him personally. Which, I guess, I had. He spotted me. We locked eyes. He stormed over. What the hell is this? He hissed. You changed my seat? I didn't answer right away. I wanted him to ask. I wanted him to say it out loud. That he noticed. That he felt it. Yes, I said finally. I did? You booked us in coach? After everything I've done for this family? That's when I stood. Slowly. Calmly. You mean like making gay jokes at dinner? My mom gasped. Rachel flinched. Don't do this here, he said through gritted teeth. Don't embarrass us. I tilted my head. Oh, you mean don't be too sensitive? His nostrils flared. He looked around. like someone was going to step in and side with him. But this wasn't his church. This wasn't his kitchen. It was an airport full of strangers, and he was just another loud old man yelling at someone half his size. He muttered something, ungrateful little shit maybe, but walked off. Rachel lingered behind. I didn't know he was going to double down like that, she whispered. I thought maybe he'd apologize. I looked at her, really looked at her. You always think that, I said, and he never does. We boarded first. Mark had messaged me that morning. You still going? I sent him a selfie from seat 1A, champagne in hand, petty grin intact. His reply was just a heart emoji. As the economy herd boarded, my dad passed by without a word. He didn't look at me, didn't glance sideways, just hunched his shoulders like the world had shrunk 2 sizes too small. When they called Rachel's group, she looked back at me one more time and mouthed, I'm sorry. I didn't reply. At 30, I finally realized I wasn't the one who needed to make peace. I was the one finally at peace. I leaned back, closed my eyes, and let the hum of the engine drown out the last 20 years of trying. Update. Okay, South. I did not expect this to blow up the way it did. I posted the original story mostly to vent, to scream into the Reddit void. But wow, y'all really came through. First off, thank you. Seriously, some of you sent DMs that made me laugh harder than I have in weeks. Please tell me he sat next to a guy in mesh shorts and open-toe sandals. He did. You're psychic. Others shared stories that hit way too close to home. There were messages from people who hadn't spoken to their parents in years, and one guy who told me he printed my post to show his own dad. I hope it went better for you than it did for me, buddy. Some of you asked if I regret it. Not even a little. But here's where it gets messy. 2 days after we landed, I started getting texts from my dad's friends. People I hadn't spoken to since I was like 15. One of them, a guy named Chuck who used to lead men's group at their church, sent me this long paragraph about forgiveness and family being bigger than our differences. Apparently, my dad had told everyone I abandoned the family vacation after a meltdown over a joke. So I posted the full story on Facebook. Yes, petty? A little. But if he was going to weaponize the truth, I was going to detonate it. Let's just say it didn't go how he planned. A few of his friends actually reached out to apologize to me. One woman, Missy I think, said her son came out last year and she'd never realized how easy it was for harmless jokes to chip away at someone's dignity. Meanwhile, my mom left me a voicemail that was 3 minutes of crying and 15 seconds of, you're tearing this family apart. But here's the kicker. Rachel texted me yesterday. She wants to fly home early. She says, and I quote, I don't think I can sit through one more dinner of him calling you that one. I didn't respond. Not because I'm mad, just tired. Anyway, y'all wanted revenge? It's coming. Because my dad hasn't even begun to understand the fallout. And I'm not done. I didn't plan for Rachel to become collateral damage. That part still messes with me. 3 days into the trip, she cracked. She texted me from the villa. He's acting like you died. Keeps telling people you bailed and ruined the family tradition. I swear to God he keeps calling it that. Family tradition. Like you haven't been paying for all of it since 2019. I asked her if she wanted to get drinks. She showed up at my hotel an hour later with no makeup, sunburnt shoulders, and eyes like she hadn't slept since they landed. We sat by the pool with overpriced cocktails in hand, while she just vented. I didn't even have to ask. He made mom cry at breakfast because the fruit was warm, she said, deadpan. Then told the waiter he was going to write a letter to the airline about the seating injustice. Like he's Rosa Parks now or something. I actually laughed. And for a second, we were kids again. Just her and me, hiding out in the garage during one of Dad's lectures, eating cold Pop-Tarts and whispering impressions of his rants. Then she said quietly, I think he's unraveling. And something in me snapped. He hadn't learned a thing. Not one. The downgrade, the silence, the public shame. It was all just fuel for his martyr complex. He'd already rewritten the story. I wasn't his gay son demanding dignity. I was the rebellious failure making the vacation all about me. I couldn't change his story, but I could ruin his audience. So I opened my phone and pulled up the Facebook post I made, the one where I'd outlined everything. The dinner joke, the years of microaggressions, the fact that I paid for this trip down to the goddamn sunscreen. Then I added a screenshot. It was from the Airbnb app, a message from me to the host, dated 2 days before the flight. Hi, just a heads up, my family doesn't know I won't be joining them. I've removed my name from everything, but they might try to contact you. If they do, feel free to direct them to me. I captioned it. Since certain folks are rewriting the story, here's some footnotes. And I tagged him. Yes, him, my dad. I broke the sacred family code. Don't embarrass dad in public. 10 minutes later, my phone started blowing up. Voicemail from my mom. Sobbing. Unintelligible, then sharp. I hope you're happy. Text from Rachel. He threw his phone in the pool. Message from a cousin I hadn't heard from since college. Bro, you broke the internet. I felt nothing. Not triumphant, not guilty, just clear. The way you feel after vomiting. Empty, but clean. The next day, I did something I hadn't done in years. I messaged Mark, "Wish you were here." He replied, "You know I would be. Just say the word." And for the first time in a long time, I started thinking about who I was without the weight of trying to be accepted, who I could be, now that I'd stopped begging. But first, I still had one last card to play, and it was going to break something that couldn't be fixed. The final card came in the form of a slideshow. Let me explain. Back when I was still in my let's try to make it work phase, I'd offered to make a photo montage for the family trip. You know, something sentimental to play during our last dinner. Pics from our childhood, old vacations, cringy high school haircuts, a feel-good PowerPoint wrapped in acoustic guitar music. My dad had even emailed me a folder of his favorite family moments for it, so I finished it, but with edits. Oh, I left in the classics. Little Rachel with popsicle stains. That camping trip where Dad fell in the lake. Our dog Max sleeping with a sock in his mouth. Nostalgia bait, all of it. But I also added more recent memories. A screenshot of my dad's fruit by the oar joke, written out in a group text from 2 years ago. He thought it was so funny he typed it out back then too. An audio clip from last Christmas when he asked my boyfriend Mark if he wore the girl pants. A photo of the first-class ticket I'd purchased for him, next to his new economy boarding pass. And the final slide? A picture of me and Mark from 2 summers ago. We're on a beach in Provincetown. I'm sunburnt. He's holding 2 melted ice creams, and we're both laughing so hard I can barely keep my eyes open. Captioned, "This is what love looks like, even when you try to ignore it." I emailed it to Rachel. Subject line, "Play this during the last dinner. Or don't. Your call." She didn't respond. Not immediately. But that night, around 10:30 p.m., I got a blurry photo of the Airbnb living room TV and my montage playing on screen. She followed it up with, "He screamed at the Airbnb remote for 5 straight minutes. Mom cried. I think this counts as war." War? Number. War is when both sides still think they have something to lose. This was surrender. On my terms. Because here's the thing. He can keep pretending he doesn't have a gay son. But now the whole family knows. His church friends know. His golfing buddies. His bowling league. Even his barber, who apparently told Rachel he was ashamed to have cut that man's hair. I didn't out myself for attention. I outed his cruelty. The trip ended 2 days early. My mom posted a vague status about spiritual attacks ruining family unity. My dad deactivated his Facebook. Rachel came home and sent me one more message. He said he never wants to see you again. I stared at it for a long time. Then I typed, "That's finally something we agree on." Update 2. Okay. So apparently when you break generational cycles, the family group chat breaks too. Spoiler, I'm still not back in it. Spoiler number 2, I don't miss it. Let me just say this. I didn't think posting that montage would detonate that hard. Like, I expected drama. I expected shouting, door slamming, dramatic finger pointing. But what I didn't expect, the fallout to keep spreading. Like emotional glitter. Weeks later and my dad is still trying to salvage his pride, calling it a coordinated attack on Christian values. Someone please tell him I'm not the CIA, just gay and tired. The wildest twist? Miss Cheryl from church reached out, sent me an actual handwritten letter with the opening line. "I always suspected your father was more bark than Bible." I almost framed it. Even weirder, Rachel. She's different. Like, different. Said she's going low contact for a while. Wants to do therapy. Asked for Mark's number to apologize directly. I didn't push. I just said thank you. As for my parents, radio silence. Which honestly is the kindest thing they've done in years. I'm back home now. Tan lines faded. Suitcase unpacked. But for the first time ever, I feel like I left something behind that needed to stay behind. That desperate need to be seen by someone who never looked at me in the first place. Oh, and Mark? He booked us a weekend in Provincetown. Same beach, same ice cream. But this time, no hiding. Thanks, Reddit, for listening, for cheering, for reminding me I'm not crazy, just finally done being quiet. It's strange how quiet peace can feel. Not silence. The suffocating kind where you wait for the next blow-up, the next passive-aggressive jab disguised as concern. I mean actual peace. The kind that settles into your chest like warm water and lets you breathe in your own skin for once. That's what the Provincetown trip felt like. Mark met me at the ferry terminal wearing the same faded tank top he wore in that photo I'd used in the montage. He didn't say anything, just pulled me into a hug that lasted too long and not long enough. We didn't talk about my dad. Not right away. Instead, we walked, ate clam strips from a paper boat, watched 2 older women fight over a seagull that stole their fries, laughed about how gay drama somehow follows me everywhere, even if it's feathered and squawking. Later in the hotel room, we lay tangled in half-wet towels and too many blankets, the fan buzzing above us. "I'm proud of you," he said, staring at the ceiling. I turned my head. "For what?" for finally choosing you. I wanted to cry. Not because it hurt, because it didn't. For once, it didn't. For so long, I thought healing would come with some grand apology. A moment where my dad would soften, reach across the table, and say something like, I didn't know how to love you back then. I do now. But no, the apology didn't come. And I didn't need it. Because healing didn't look like holding his hand. It looked like letting go of it. Later that night, I posted a photo. Just me and Mark, standing under that stupid, perfect lighthouse. The one tourists always take pictures with. I wrote, some families are given. Some we choose. And some we build from the ashes. No filter, no hashtags. Rachel commented a heart. Two of my cousins liked it. And for the first time in years, my mom didn't comment, praying hands. She didn't comment at all. And it was perfect. I wrote the letter on a napkin at 2 a.m. Not because I planned to send it, just because I needed to finally say it. To someone. To no one. To myself, maybe. It started like this. Dear Dad, I forgive you. But not because you asked. I forgive you because I'm done carrying your shame like it's mine. The ink bled a little from the condensation on my water glass. Fitting. Every memory I had of you was waterlogged. Warped at the edges. Swollen with things left unsaid. I kept writing. You told me once that family means telling each other the truth, even when it hurts. But what you meant was, it's okay if you hurt me, as long as you still got to call it love. You laughed at me when I flinched, mocked me when I cried, called it character building. It didn't build character. It built silence. It made me think love had to hurt first before it could be real, that I had to earn it with obedience and apology. But I don't owe you that anymore. I paused there, thought about tearing it up. But then I kept going. You won't ever apologize. You won't ever look at Mark and see a person. You'll keep sitting in your recliner, misquoting scripture, and calling it faith. But I've seen what real faith looks like. It looks like Rachel sneaking me peanut butter crackers after you grounded me for being dramatic. It looks like Mark holding my hand in an airport, not caring who stared. It looks like me right now, telling you I'm done shrinking to fit the story you need me to be. You don't have to understand. You don't even have to read this. But I do hope someday you feel the space I left behind. And I hope it stings. Not because I want you to hurt, but because I want you to notice. Goodbye, Dad. Not bitter, not broken, just free. Your son, who never stopped being your son. Even when you stopped acting like a father. I folded it once, slid it into the nightstand drawer. Maybe someday I'll burn it. Maybe I'll keep it forever. But I didn't cry when I wrote it. And I think that's what healing looks like too. Not a grand finale. Not closure wrapped in violins and voiceovers. Just a quiet, steady heartbeat that says, you made it out, and you're never going back. That's the story. All of it. Thank you for walking through it with me. And if you're reading this in the middle of your own mess, hurting, spiraling, questioning, just know, you don't have to wait for permission to live loud and loved. Sometimes the most radical thing you can do is walk away from the table, especially when the joke's always on you. And you've finally decided you're not laughing anymore. Not ever again.